Hello, dear friends, dear students. Today we will cover topic methods of chapter 6. For this chapter, we have such problem. Assume that you have to find sum of numbers from 1 to 10, from 20 to 30, from 35 to 45 respectively. How to solve this kind of problem? We will first of all create some integer which is equal to 0. Then we will create the loop in the range from 1 to 10, and then for integer sum we will add all these values, and at the end we will print the sum. To solve the same problem but from numbers to 20 to 30, we will use the same code, but only difference will be is the range in our loop. And to find the sum of numbers from 35 to 45, we will do the same actions like creating sum, creating loop, adding numbers to loop, to sum, and printing it. We will perform the same actions, but only difference will be the range of numbers that we will use here. As you can see here, some parts of our code is repeating all time, which is when we are creating sum, when we are creating the loop and adding numbers to loop. To solve this kind of problem, we can create a method. Each time when we will call the method, for example, if we will call it as a sum, it will perform the same action. That is why we will not need to create the same lines of code several times. What can we do? First of all, we can create a method, like we write here public static, and then type of that return value, it is integer. Now write the name, which is sum, and then as an argument write two formal parameters, and in the curly brackets write the solution of this situation, and then we will return this sum. Now, in our main method, when we will call the method that's called a sum from 1 to 10, from 20 to 13, or in any range of numbers, it will perform the same actions here. And there is no need to write and duplicate the same lines of code. In this topic, we will cover a lot of objectives like defining methods, passing arguments, using method overloading, determining the scope of variables, and etc. The first part of the chapter is defining a method. First of all, let us see what is a method. A method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation. It means here one method is performing one operation. For example, here it is performing one operation that's called max. What kind of operation is? It is finding the maximum number of 2 given. To solve this problem, it is using a collection of statements, like here. This is block of statements, collection of statements. And all this is called a method. Also, methods can be used to define reusable code. Means you will create some code and all time you will just call for it. What kind of advantage do we have for methods? Methods help us to organize and simplify our coding. Now, let us see how to define a method. A method is a collection of statements that are grouped together to perform an operation. To define a method, first of all, we must know some some terms. The first term is called a method signature. What does the word method signature mean? It's a combination of method name and the parameter list. Here, the place when we have the method name, which is max, and in the parentheses when we have parameter list like number 1 and number 2, this part of code is called method signature. Why do we need it? It is to see how to call your method. To call it, you must write first of all the name of your method, and in the parentheses you must define two numbers in the range of which you must find the maximum. Not in the range, but find the maximum of these two variables. Next term is formal parameters. What are they? Formal parameters are such parameters that you use in the header of your method. Now, in our method maximum, they are number 1 and number 2. Their types are integers, and they are called formal parameters. What do they mean? They are some kind of parameters, some kind of variables that are used to show how your method must act, and in future when you will invoke your method like here, these parameters will go instead of your formal parameters, like instead of num1 x1 will go, instead of num2 y2 will go. They are actually doing the same job for these two variables. Actual parameters, what do they mean? Actual parameters are such parameters that are actually used to find the result from your method. For example, if num1 and num2 they were formal parameters to show how it must act, x1 and x and y, they are actual parameters, the maximum of which you must find. The next term is return value type. The type that you write before the name of your method, like here it is integer, shows us what type of value your method will return. For example, here it will return some integer. For example, here you write return result, and result is integer. Now sometimes in your methods, your method will not return any type of data. In such situations, you write here void. What does it mean? Void means that your method will perform some statements, but it will not return any value. As you remember, we were typing public static void main string args for our main method, and the word void there shows that your main method is not returning any kind of data, but it's performing the action that you have written.